I lay here on the small couch in my new East Atlanta apartment, one hand holding hot tea, the other on my head, trying to stop the spinning feeling from all the text messages. My phone lights up on the table, calls from Mom, Dad, and even Brandon, my brother. The same 3 names flash over and over like they'll never end, as if one more minute without my answer would make my phone burst from too much pressure. 6 months. 6 months since I walked out of that house. No yelling, no tears, not even a door slam. I just packed some clothes, my old laptop, and my money notebook into an old bag, then walked outside as the sun went down behind the buildings across the street. No one stopped me. No one asked where I was going. No one thought I wouldn't. Come back, they knew Diana as the good daughter, the one they could always count on. Always fixing the money problems. I was the hidden helper behind every money mess in the family. The one who stepped in when Brandon lost another job, or Mom and Dad missed a payment on a new couch or table. I thought I was being good, that helping them was right, that it was what I should do. But now, in this tiny place, just big enough for me and the quiet, I finally get it. For almost 10 years, I've been keeping alive a system. I never built a system where I did all the work while everyone else just... The phone shakes again. I don't need to look to know it's Mom. I can already hear her message in my head. How could you do this to your family, ending with, if you care about us at all, call back now. I don't pick up, don't even reach for the phone. I just lean back, take a deep breath, and feel my chest get lighter. With each second, my name is Diana Miller. I'm 28. A money expert who got a full ride to Georgia State. I used to think that if I just worked hard enough, stayed out of trouble, kept quiet, I'd be noticed. But the truth is, the more I did, the less I mattered. And the one time I stopped just once, the phone lit up like a fire alarm. Brandon is 32, dropped out after 2 years of art school, worked as a coffee shop guy, a driver, then had no job again. But he was the special one, the dreamer, the one Mom hugged when he failed, and Dad treated like a hero. And me, the one who never made debts, never ruined plans, never asked for anything somehow, became the bad one. I remember the day I left. Mom was watching TV. Dad was looking at car papers, and Brandon was lying on the couch playing games. No one saw me walk past with a bag. No one asked why I wasn't dressed for work. Not even a "where are you going?" And now, after 6 months of silence, they're trying to reach me like I'm the life raft they threw away but now want back. I look at the phone again, still buzzing. I don't turn it off, just let it ring. Each buzz feels like proof that I've finally broken free from the rope that tied me for 10 years. And for the first time in my life, freedom feels like a quiet afternoon where every sound is just mine. I started working at 16, not to buy nice clothes or hang out with friends, but because I knew if I didn't take care of me, no one would. While my friends got rides from their parents, I rode my bike 4 blocks to a bakery to clean tables and wash floors, then biked home after dark. I used my first pay to buy a used computer, the only thing that helped me keep up in school. No one asked if I needed help. No one asked if I was sleeping enough or if I'd had dinner. But when Brandon needed a new laptop after quitting school, Mom just opened a credit card and bought him a new one, saying he needs it to start over his life. I was used to that upside-down thinking when I did good. It was expected. When Brandon messed up, it was because he was trying. Brandon's 4 years older than me. But if you saw how our home worked, you'd think I was older. He always had an excuse. Always got defended when he quit his bookstore job because the boss was too mean. Mom right away took his side. No one can work in a bad place. When he lost the car, Dad had just fixed. Dad just said, "Accidents happen, not your fault." When I got a full ride to Georgia State, all they said was, "Couldn't you pick a school closer to home? Brandon might need the car." When I got hired by the biggest money firm nearby, Mom just said, "That's so far, he'll need you to take us to our doctor visits." I honestly can't remember them ever saying they were proud of me. Maybe they never did. I used to think if I just kept working hard, kept proving myself they'd finally see me. But the more I did, the more I became just a walking ATM when they wanted. To paint the house. Could you help a bit? When Brandon wanted to sign up for an art class. Diana, could you pay it now, and we'll pay you back later at first? I thought it was just short money troubles. I said yes to help here and there. But here and there turned into everything from power bills, kitchen stuff, to gas money for Dad's car. I sent the money often. No thanks. Just more asks this month's a bit tight. Can you add a little more? I tried to stay quiet. Told myself I was helping that family. Should stick together. But every time I came home after weeks of hard work, I'd see Brandon lying on the couch, feet up playing games. Mom would be in the kitchen, making his favorite food. Dad would be telling the same story about how my son won an art contest back in 5th grade. I'm not mean. I used to care about the smallest things. But now I can't live a life where hard work goes unseen and messing up gets praised. Like it's great. I remember one day when I told Mom I was saving to buy my own place, she just said, "A girl buying a house alone. Aren't you worried people will think no one wants to marry you?" I didn't answer, but that was when I knew I would never get their real approval. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because to them Brandon would always come first, and me, I was just the backup when things broke down. That truth, bitter as it was, made me stronger. 6 months ago, when I finally walked out, I didn't cry, didn't yell. I just left, like the only person in the family who knew if I didn't save myself, I'd always be the one holding up everyone else. I remember, it started with a text from Mom late one night while I was still at work. "Diana, we just lost power. Dad forgot to pay this month's bill. Can you help? I'll pay you back tomorrow." I didn't think twice, sent $1,260 that night, with a text. Next time, remind Dad to pay earlier. Of course, I never got a penny back. Then came the water bill, the stove, fix vitamins for Dad. Each one came with a reason that sounded so fair it would have felt mean to say no at first. I thought, it's okay, I make good money. But that small help quickly became everything they stopped asking. They started telling this week. Send Brandon $200. He's signing up for a photo class. Or Dad just had teeth work. It was costly. Here's the bank info. I became the only provider in a 4-person family, 2 working sometimes, and 1 who played games all day 1 month, as I was ready to ask for my first home loan. Dad called, sounding worried but firm. "Diana, we're in trouble with the bank. This house might get taken if we can't find money in the next few weeks." I went quiet. That house, plain as it was where I grew up, where I once dreamed of having my own office. Before that dream was traded for a fold-out bed, so Brandon could move back in. "How much do you need?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Around $980 a month for just a few months until your dad and I get back on our feet." And I said yes, the first money sent that very night right after I stopped the down payment on the apartment I'd been dreaming of. I ended up sending that money not for a few months, but for almost 2 years. 2 years, over $20,000 total, not counting other costs like car stuff, roof fixes, or Brandon's birthday. What made me most angry wasn't the money. It was how they acted, like it was normal. No thank you. No one asked if I could afford it. No pause when asking for more. I slowly became the family bank, with no say in the very house I was keeping from being taken. Brandon still had no job when I asked straight up. Mom just said, "He's trying to find his path, you shouldn't push him." Push him, me, the one working 60 hours a week to cover his part, and now I'm the one making it hard. I started quietly writing down every payment, every date, like I was keeping track for someone who would never pay, but I never planned to ask for it back because I knew I never would see a penny every time I thought of stopping. Another message would pop up. "Dad's back. Hurts. Can you order his pills, or the roof's leaking all week? No one has money to fix it." And I'd give in again. I'd send the money. Again. I'd put every personal goal on hold. Again. I started not looking at my bank app in the mornings, because seeing the low balance made me feel like I couldn't breathe. My life was ruled by other people's bills, by the needs of those who never planned to take care of themselves. I was living in a small rental eating cup noodles for a week straight, so I could send money to fix a door in the house Brandon used as his art space. Then one day in a small store, I opened my wallet and didn't have enough to buy milk, and that's when I truly felt it. I was being emptied completely. I used to think being strong meant carrying all the weight, but really I was just sinking in a swamp called hoping they would change. And when I realized that, I knew I had to change. First, that Sunday, it started to rain. I had just finished a long weekend shift, tired and only wanting a shower and warm blanket. But instead, I stopped at the store, got a few bags of food, and drove nearly 40 minutes to my parents' house, just like I had done for 2 years straight. I walked into the kitchen, arms full of bags, fish veggies, some frozen meals as I set them down. Mom was already there. Not to say hi, but to confront me. Deanna, we need to talk before I could catch my breath. She crossed her arms, her voice sharp with drama. We already talked about this. What you're sending every month, it's not enough. I froze. Not enough. What are you talking about? Dad stepped in from the living room, his voice low and heavy, like bad news. You make good money. You live alone while we're having hard times every day. Doesn't that seem unfair to you? I looked at the two people who raised me now, standing there trying to make me think that their comfort was my job. I kept my voice steady. I've paid the house payment for 2 years, not to mention power pills, roof fixes, all that, and it's still not enough. Brandon, lying on the couch as usual, spoke up. It's not like you're missing anything. What's wrong with sharing a little? I turned to look him in the eye. My 32-year-old brother, who's never paid a bill in his life yet, somehow feels he can talk about sharing. Sharing goes both ways. Brandon? I said, my voice colder than the rain outside. All you ever do is take. Mom snapped, that's enough, Diana. You're being rude. I took a deep breath, chest about to burst. I'm rude for telling the truth. Mom's lips made that tight line. I'd seen my whole life, the look she gave when she wanted to control everything. If it's that much of a burden to you. She said every word like a knife. Then you can walk out that door and don't come back. Time stopped that line. If only she knew how often it echoed in my mind. But this time, no one tried to stop me. No one called me the good daughter or the quiet one who gives things up. They didn't pull me back. They just pushed me to the edge and waited to see if I'd jump. I dropped the last grocery bag on the table. Didn't even open it. Didn't put anything in the fridge like I usually did. All right, I said, soft but sharp, if that's how you feel. Then I hear you, loud and clear. I'm leaving. I turned and walked out. My steps were heavy, but sure, no one followed. No one called my name. Just Brandon saying something behind me like, so dramatic or something. I walked out of that house empty-handed, feeling empty, but with my back straight. The rain soaked my hair, my clothes. But for the first time I felt light, like the weight I had carried for years wasn't duty. It was chains, and they had finally fallen. I didn't drive straight back to my little apartment. I pulled into a gas station, opened my contacts, stared at Mom, Dad, Brandon, then slowly pressed block. At that moment, I didn't know what was coming. Next, I couldn't picture the mess that would happen when they realized their ATM had gone silent. But I knew one thing for sure. This time I wasn't coming back. Not out of pride, but because I had finally learned that kindness has limits and blind. Giving only teaches people to expect it as normal. My new apartment was on the 3rd floor of an old building with peeling white paint and halls that smelled like old wood. But to me, it was heaven. No one woke me at 6 a.m. for doctor's visits. No one texted at midnight, asking if I could cover the power bill. I no longer had to race across town with bags of food for a dinner. No one ate. I moved in with just 2 bags and an old blanket, but the feeling of relief was like learning to breathe again every morning. I got up, made coffee, opened the window, and let the light in. No TV blasting. No mom's complaints. No dad's coughing when I got home late. I spent weekends reading, learning new things, and walking in the park where I didn't need to hold a phone to my ear for an hour hearing about another problem that meant more money. I cut all money ties. No sending money, no bill payments, no doctor visits, no food. My bank account slowly got better. And for the first time in years, I started saving a simple thing I never thought I could do. But that peace only lasted until month 3. It started with a text from Mom Diana. "Your dad just got a warning from the bank. Something's wrong. Call me." I read it, put the phone down, and didn't answer. Not because I didn't care, but because I knew that something was never about health or safety. It was always about money. And sure enough, a few days later, my dad called. "We need to talk the house. Trouble can't wait any longer." I didn't pick up. They called again every day, first sounding calm, then begging, then blaming Mom. Texted, "Are you really going to leave your parents behind?" Brandon left a voice message. "This isn't a joke, everyone's having a hard time." I didn't answer. The calls kept growing week by week, like they thought if they called enough, I'd give in. I changed my work number, blocked some contacts, but I couldn't stop myself from reading the long messages, sometimes pages long, blaming me for being different, heartless, cold. I wasn't cold. I was healing. Then one Monday, as I was leaving work, my phone lit up. It was Brandon. I didn't answer, but this time his message had lost the rush. It was sharp with blame. "What do you think you're doing? Feeling proud of yourself? You don't get to walk away from family just because life is easier. Now if Mom and Dad lose the house, it's your fault." I stood frozen in the parking lot playing the message 3 times, not knowing whether to laugh or be angry after all those years of not eating enough, all the thousands sent without a thank you. And what I got back was blame. I picked up my phone and slowly typed, "I've covered my part and yours for years. If things fall apart now, maybe ask who never did anything." I didn't send it. I deleted it because I knew no words would ever change how they saw me to them. I was never a daughter, never a sister. I was a fix. And when the fix stopped working, all they had was blame. I put my phone in my pocket and walked down the golden-lit sidewalk, feeling a bit lighter. Later, just after a meeting, I saw a message from Dad Diana. "Why haven't you paid the house payment this month? The bank's pushing us. Now." I froze in the hall of my office building. It wasn't shock. I felt it was a chill, like ice water down my back. I had stopped all money help nearly 6 months ago. Completely no sending money, no money talk. And yet he still messaged like it was just normal that I'd keep paying the house, but what really hurt was the way he said, "pushing us now." I bit my lip. My hands started to sweat. My gut told me something was wrong, and this time I wouldn't guess I would find out that evening after making tea. I opened my laptop and logged into the bank account I used to send house payments to, one in Dad's name. I had never checked it before. I had always trusted that once I sent money, it would be used for what they said. I was their daughter. Why wouldn't I? I looked through the payment history from the past 2 years. Every payment I sent, written down exact to the penny, but the final line made my heart nearly stop. The last house payment from that account was 8 months ago, right before I stopped helping. I blinked several times, hoping I'd read it wrong, but there it was, clearly listed, in the bank's alert account. Late 8 months, total amount owed $6,180 status at risk of being taken. I covered my mouth, trying to quiet my breathing. What did this mean? I had kept sending money on time for 3 more months after that last payment, and they hadn't used a single dollar for the house. I pulled up my personal banking app. Sure enough, almost $3,000 sent after the final payment gone. They had gotten it, but didn't use it, didn't explain, didn't say a word. A cold wave ran down my spine. It wasn't just let. Down it felt like a stab, like someone had struck me in the back with my own trust. I didn't call right away. I needed more proof the next morning. I called the bank this time as someone who used to help manage family payments. I calmly explained my worry that my parents might be having trouble and not telling me after some checking. The bank person said that account hasn't had a full house payment since the start of the year. It's now under special review. I thanked her and hung up the world spun. No more doubt the money I sent during those last months was not used for the house. So where did it go? I didn't know, but it wasn't for what they'd begged for that night. I couldn't sleep. I left the light on, lying stiff on the couch staring at the ceiling. One question in my mind: how long had they been lying to me? I thought about all Mom used to say. It's only for now, honey. If not for you, we'd starve your dad, so worried. Please help us get through this. And then I remembered the look in Brandon's eyes the day I walked out. Not sorry, but fear. Not because I was leaving, but because the money was stopping. I picked up my phone and typed a message to Dad. I just spoke with the bank. They said the house payment is 8 months late. I kept sending money. So what happened? No reply right away. But 15 minutes later, the phone rang. Caller ID. Dad. I didn't answer. I sat there listening to the ring sound. Echo like a ghost from a past I once blindly believed in. But now finally showed its true self. The third call came at 10 p.m. I stared at the screen. My hands cold. My heart a storm of anger and hurt. I knew if I didn't pick up, they wouldn't stop, and this time I was ready to listen, but also ready to speak. I hit answer. Diana, it's Dad. His voice low and tight. So I guess you found out about the bank. I kept my voice calm. I didn't just find out, I checked the house. Payment is 8 months behind. I kept sending money. So where did it go? He paused, then sighed. I know you're angry, but it's not what you think. I gave a bitter half smile. Not what I think. I sent money for the house. The house didn't get paid. What part of that isn't what I think? That's when Mom grabbed the phone. Diana, don't you dare speak to your father like that. She yelled, voice high, almost mad. You don't understand the problem. Everything's been falling apart since you left. I squinted. Walked away? Or was it when I stopped paying for everyone to live easy? You don't speak to me like that. My mom snapped. I've done everything I could. Brandon lost his job. Your father's back is bad. The house is falling apart, and you just turned your back on us. No, Mom, I said, my voice lower. I turned my back after you all took every last dollar from me and still had the nerve to say it wasn't enough. I am not forced to fund your bad choices. She went quiet for a few seconds. Then her voice came back shaking, going into that familiar fake crying. Deanna, we're family. Families are supposed to help each other. I cut her off for the first time, not letting her steer my feelings. Help has a limit. Mom and I've been treated like a free ATM for years. Worse, the money I sent wasn't even used for what you claimed. You lied to me. The pause was so long I thought she hung up. Then, Brandon's voice pushed in. You're making this bigger than it is. They just need time, and you're acting like the whole world owes you something. I laughed. The world doesn't, but this house sure does. You're being selfish, Brandon said. You weren't like this before. I answered softly, voice like ice before. I was just dumb. Diana, don't talk like that. My dad came back, his tone lower. Worn out, we messed up. Okay, but you're all we've got. We will pay you back, I promise. I let out a dry, empty laugh. How many times have you promised that? Another long pause. You know, if you don't help, we could lose the house. He said, we're about to lose everything. I held the phone tight. My chest felt heavy, but my words came out clear. Then lose it. That's not my job anymore. Diana, you can't. What can't walk away after being pushed too far? I cut him off. I've carried this family for nearly 10 years while Brandon sat around wasting money and judging me, and now when I stop, I'm the bad one, Mom cried again. Brandon said something to her dad, started begging, but I didn't really hear them anymore. Their voices were like ghosts from a world I no longer lived in. I took a deep breath. I'm done helping. Not because I'm mean, because I've done more than enough. You all need to learn how to live without me. That's the only thing I'm giving you now. And I hung up. Not in anger, in peace. After that final call, I turned off my phone and left it on the table for 3 full days. No texts, no calls, no threats, no fake crying. Just quiet. And I had never tasted quiet. So sweet. The next morning I woke up early, made a cup of coffee and stepped out onto the small deck, watching the city slowly wake under soft golden light. My apartment was small, plain, the ceiling a little low, the wooden floor creaking. But for the first time I felt like a place truly was mine. No one knocking to ask for money, no one making me feel bad for living my own life. Freedom. It turned out wasn't loud, it was quiet. Gentle like that first breath after breaking through water. But even quiet can get scary when night comes, when there's no more work to fill my thoughts. I start to wonder, did I go too far? I cut everything. All help. All contact. I let the house. I helped save Teeter on the edge of being taken. I left them people who once raised me to handle the mess alone. I used to be the backbone. Now I was the one who let go. Was I too harsh? I went back to the messages I had been avoiding all week. One from Mom. You'll regret this. That house means everything to me. One from Dad. We're out of choices if you don't help. And Brandon, short and bitter. You're letting this family sink. Just because of your pride, I listened to every word, didn't skip any. But this time I didn't cry. I just felt tired. They always knew how to make me doubt myself for years. They tied me down not with chains but with guilt. With words like, you're the pride of this family, or we'd be lost without you. But that pride was never shown as thanks. It was just a shield they used when they needed cover for a mistake they didn't want to fix. I thought about all the nights I stayed up working for clients only to wake up to Brandon telling me off for not living in the moment. I thought about giving up the one vacation I planned each year, because my parents suddenly needed money. And I thought about Mom's face when I said I was tired. Not care, not understanding, just let down, like I had failed, her trust. Even though I was the only one who never walked away. I walked into my room, sat on the bed, fingers tracing the edges of an old worn blanket, and the same question kept coming back. What if they do lose the house? What if one day I get a call saying my parents have nowhere to live? Would I feel bad? Oh, I'm the one who kept them from falling apart for nearly 10 years. That can't be wiped away. Because I stopped 6 months ago. But people forget fast, and guilt. It doesn't need a reason to creep in. I sighed. Maybe I wasn't the perfect daughter. Maybe I was too hard. But if I hadn't drawn the line, I'd have nothing left except an empty wallet and a broken heart. I'm not telling this story for praise. I'm not waiting for someone to say I was right. I just want to understand. Understand if anyone else has ever felt like me. If anyone else has been given the weight of a whole family. If anyone's ever been called cold, just for saying no once. And if you're still reading this, truly want to ask, did I do the right thing? I chose to live for myself. But is there a cost I haven't seen yet? I don't know. But I hope you can give me a new view, a message, an honest word. Because sometimes to move ahead, I just need to know I'm not alone. Diana's story wakes us up. It's for anyone who's been called the good, child and loaded with duties that were never theirs to carry for years. She traded her freedom and peace for loyalty to a family that gave nothing back. But when she saw her worth being drained, she found the courage to say enough and walk away. Her story isn't just about escape. It's a reminder that real love starts when we set clear lines. Do you think Diana was right to walk away from the cycle of forced duty? Or should she have tried to meet halfway? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to follow for more powerful stories about family choices and finding your breaking free. When family becomes a burden.